What are my dreams? Well, one of them is what I'm doing right at this moment. I am putting my creative efforts out into the world. Whether or not anyone finds them is the reality. I can control my output. I cannot control whether or not anyone reacts to that output. So that's my discussion for today. I want to talk about dreams and how maybe reality doesn't always match what we expect. Like I said, sitting here recording videos and putting them out on YouTube, it's not something I actually dreamt of, but as a child, I really looked up to Lucille Ball, and I love Lucy, and no one will ever be Lucille Ball. She did inspire a lot of comedians, both male and female, and she was a trendsetter and a groundbreaking person, and along with Desi Arnaz. They were quite the power couple. And many of the things that she did on her show inspired me to want to live my life up to the standards that she was creating. As a child, of course, I didn't consider the fact that the shows were scripted. So the outcome of her shenanigans were controlled by the writers. What happened when she tried to become a novelist, and in most cases, the things she tried did not work out well for her, but the possibility of becoming a best-selling author in a 30-minute sitcom is real. I am very fond of watching media related to writers. I'm also fond of reading and watching biographies about authors and what they went through to get to where they were. And obviously, when I read or watch these biographies, these authors have already become known, or else there would not have been a biography about them. So in putting out my YouTube videos, what I'm showing is the reality of a dream in progress. This may be an extended version of the 30-minute I Love Lucy sitcom, where I am in Lucy's place. I'm trying to create this world where I'm a best-selling author and I have a lot of glamour and excitement in my life. But the reality is much different than that dream, because the fact that JT and I are able to write and edit and publish our books is the fulfillment of a dream we long had, both probably since our teen years, if not our young adulthood. And the fact that we were able to retire from our jobs in public service and do this full time is the fulfillment of a dream. Now, the fact that we have not yet achieved even breaking even with the expenses we put out into the world is the reality of the situation. So we are fulfilling our dream, but the reality is not matching up to what we'd hoped would happen. We started Two More Books LLC officially in January of 2025. So we are now 13 months into our little self-publishing experience. We have been writing for much, much longer than that. And as I mentioned, we're both retirees from public service. So I feel that in our 60s, probably JT and I both feel that we should be farther along in this process when it comes to writing. But neither of us were focused on writing throughout the course of our adult lives because we were too busy with other things. I've talked about that before. The point I'm trying to make is that we're not as far along as we feel we should be because we didn't have the time and energy to commit to doing more to build ourselves up as known authors, to build our author brand, you might say. I'm not even sure what an author brand is supposed to be, honestly. I think JT and I, our brand is that we have two hearts, but we share a brain cell, and we definitely feel that way some days. Yesterday, I don't think either of us had the brain cell. I think it took the day off. If you saw my video from yesterday, I woke up at 3:45 a.m. and I was awake all day. I went to sleep probably 9:30, 10 p.m. last night. My video yesterday, I talked about postmenopause because that's one of the things that disrupts my sleep and made it hard for me to get the rest I needed to actually get some work done. As a result, I did not get any of my beta revisions done yesterday because I just did not have the brain capacity. That is the reality of life as an author, as an older person. As much as I want to spend time working on my manuscript, which I could be working on right now, my desk is right there, but instead I'm doing this video. And part of the reason that I am prioritizing this video over that at the moment is that I want to maintain my consistency with my videos. And I'm hoping to be able to look back and remember, should I ever achieve the success part of my dream, I want to remember all the blood, sweat, and tears that went into achieving that success. That's what we don't see. When we see someone achieve their dream, for example, the Winter Olympics, you see all of these athletes, the height of their physical capabilities. They're usually very young. They've been working on this their entire lives, and the fact that they have reached the world stage to compete in the Olympics is the achievement of a dream. Whether or not they medal, the reality is only a certain number of them will. The people who medal, who get a medal, not medaling, but who get gold, silver, or bronze in the competition, the reality of that is that so many different things can happen. I bring Lindsey Vonn into this. Lindsey Vonn, I believe skier, is out of the Olympics due to injury. She had previously had an injury, tried to come back from that, and was re-injured in the process. So the reality is that she was good enough. She was at the height of her physical capabilities. She made it to the Olympics, and something happened to injure her, and now she's completely out of the running. She's already back in the US. Those kinds of things happen. There are things outside of our control. So while we dream, while we plan, the reality of the outcome can be much different than when we expected. Because, like I said, going back to me and I Love Lucy, what I didn't consider at the time, aside from the fact that these were scripted half-hour shows, was the fact that Lucy was married to a well-known band leader. So her shenanigans had more visibility than anything I would try to do because she was known. And basically Lucille Ball, through I Love Lucy, became well known. Her later efforts in TV did not do as well as I Love Lucy, unfortunately. That was a very specific time period, a specific moment in time. We still watch those episodes. They're classic for a reason. And that may have been the fulfillment of her dream, but at that point, she must have had other dreams and other things that she wanted to accomplish. Whether she did or not, I don't know, because I did not personally know Lucille Ball. I can only imagine that the fact that she was running Desilu, and Desilu helped bring about classic Star Trek and other things that were so well known and well respected, that must have been an achievement of another dream that maybe she didn't have at an earlier age. So, she was a young unknown actress at one point. She was in the background of different movies before she became Lucille Ball. And, so many things could have happened along the way to impede her progress. My apologies. Postnasal drip. So the dreams that she may have had probably didn't turn out the way she expected them to. When she married Desi Arnaz, I'm sure she didn't expect their relationship to end the way it did. When she began her successive TV shows to I Love Lucy, she probably expected them to do much better than they did. But times had changed. In the 1950s, television was still fairly new. People watched all the same shows at the same time. There were very limited viewing options available. The fact that when she gave birth to little Ricky, her fictional son, the night she gave birth to one of her own children, the fact that that was such a media event was because of the times, I think, in large part. The fact that the TV show was so popular and successful, the fact that everybody was so invested in what happened with Lucy and Ricky, and the fact that there were probably much more limited entertainment options available. Now, I'm so sorry. So while I aspire to live my life like Lucy, I am not married to a famous band leader. I do not have the background that she did, where she worked her way through movies before she got her TV show. I've dabbled in writing here and there around other things in my life, so I don't have a following. So the fact that I am fulfilling a part of my dream, I'm working full-time as a writer, I am publishing books and putting them out in the world. I'm doing these videos and putting them out for your entertainment, education, encouragement, hopefully. The fact that I'm doing these things is a fulfillment of some of my dreams, because if Lucille Ball were around right now, if she were a young woman right now, would she be an influencer? You know, what would her life have been like if she had been in a different place in time? And would she have been as popular as she was and is to this day? So the reality of our dreams is not always what we expect when we dream them. The other thing I was thinking, I have tried a couple of times to become a #1 bestseller for the holidays with this book, From Tundra to Tiara, that JT and I co-wrote. It is a romance, contemporary, cozy, that came about as a result of us seeing a movie, The Lost City, with Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum and Daniel Radcliffe. I absolutely loved Daniel Radcliffe's character in that movie. He was so funny. Now, we were coming off the idea that we could do something similar. We could do a goofy, adventure romance type of situation. I don't know how goofy our version turned out, because we have a very particular kind of humor that may not resonate with the general public. But there are elements of the kind of romantic situations that you see in movies like The Lost City or Romancing the Stone with Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner, if you're more fond of the older versions of those kind of stories. The characters in those movies, so Joan Wilder in Romancing the Stone, and I'm afraid I can't remember the name of the character in The Lost City, Sandra Bullock's character in The Lost City, they're both successful authors when their stories happen. They're both rather nerdy, so I feel very close connections with them because I am an incredible nerd myself. And they set out on these wild adventures because famously at the beginning of Romancing the Stone, Joan Wilder has finished a romance. She's crying. She's run out of Kleenex. She's using Post-its to blow her nose. She has to feed her cat because she's single and she lives alone. And in the case of The Lost City, Sandra Bullock's character is doing these public events. She's not really happy with it. They put her in this ridiculous sparkly jumpsuit, and really the crowd is probably there to see her cover model more than her, because he's got the hunky, Channing Tatum. So that in itself, the fact that JT and I wrote this book with the idea that, hey, we can do that, we're not yet well-known authors. We're still hopeful that that may happen someday. While he is very hunky and does resemble Travis a little bit, He's not the Michael Douglas or Channing Tatum type. And I may lean a little bit more Kathleen Turner or Sandra Bullock, but you know, the actresses themselves are also both very well known because they've been around for quite some time and they've paid their dues. And the fact that we were hoping that maybe our book would take off, just, you know, like something in a rom-com, the reality was that wasn't going to happen because nobody really knows who we are yet. And I say yet because I'm still hopeful. I still have that dream alive. I'm still going to continue putting out these videos and my social media posts in an effort to hopefully attract the attention of like-minded people. I may never become, you know, as successful as Joan Wilder, for example, who they go to this small village where everybody, you know, it's a Spanish-speaking village, but they're all very excited to meet the Joan Wilder. You know, it's just, I don't know if I would ever be able to achieve that level of success. So the reality of living this dream as a full-time writer is wonderful. I love it. I'm really having a great time. I'm finding that I'm really enjoying doing these daily videos, being able to sit down and just chat and talk about what's going through my mind is, I think it helps me get my thoughts together, kind of clear out some of the extraneous things in my mind so I can settle down and get some writing done. So I am living a lot of my dreams. I'm in a house that my husband and I were able to buy after being married for more than 30 years at that point. Something that we dreamed of all the time when we were young with our small kids and couldn't afford it then, but situations happened over the course of our lives that, you know, by the time we bought the house, we had one kid still living at home. They quickly moved out within a year of us getting the house. So we didn't have all the extra expenses that we had when our kids were growing up. It was just JT and I. We were both still working full time. So we achieved that dream with the help of family because we'd had to pay off the debts we built up over the years and all of that. I mean, everybody understands what goes into buying a house. And I'm very sad that there are so many people now that cannot afford that dream of owning their own home, being able to settle down in a place and feel like it's yours. And there's just something special about it. And it's, I think maybe buying our first home later in life and probably buying our only home later in life is not something that a lot of people may be able to do going forward. And I really, really feel sorry about that because it is such a wonderful experience. Not everybody wants to own a home, which is completely understandable too, because houses can be money pits. But the achievement of the dream of owning our own home is much different than the reality of what we initially expected, because, you know, you go into it and it's rainbows and unicorns, and the reality is we have a broken window that we need to replace, and our furnace is going out, and, you know, we have the sump pump in the basement going off because of all the moisture coming up from the weather. That's the reality. Yes, we have rainbow and unicorn days. We sit here very often and think how much we love our house, how much we are happy to have our house, how happy we are to be at this point in our lives where we can sit in our house and write full time. The achievement of those dreams is wonderful. So I don't want you to misunderstand me and think that I'm whining about anything. I'm not. What I'm trying to point out is that if you are feeling like you're not accomplishing your goals or achieving your dreams, maybe take a step back and look at what you've done. You may have actually accomplished some of your dreams, but not in the way you expected. And that's okay, because there are so many outside things that we don't take into consideration. Like going back to I Love Lucy, I didn't consider that it was a scripted show. Same thing with Romancing the Stone and The Lost City. Those were both scripted movies. And enjoying the story and feeling so much a part of the story, you don't really think about the fact that the outcome is going to be what the writers have decided it will be. And now, neither of those movies might have been popular. The reality is the artists, the actors, the writers, the production staff, they put out the movie and they don't know how it's going to land. Not every movie is fantastic and well known and, stands the test of time. The same is true of authors. Not every book we put out is going to be well known, well respected, or stand the test of time. But the fact that we are taking the time to try to put our dreams out, to try to share our dreams with the world, that in itself is the achievement of a dream, even though maybe the reality is that once you put that dream out there, you're hoping that more people will find it and enjoy it. And I'm talking specifically about artists here. Your dream might be to own a Harley, and that's perfectly fine. If that's what makes you happy, if that's what's bringing you joy, do that for sure. So, just remember that maybe you can't get the particular model of Harley that you want, but you get something similar, or you get an older version of it and you actually are able to restore it. That could be the achievement of a dream. You may not have bought that brand new Harley that you've been eyeing for years, but maybe you brought something up to the standards of that Harley, or it might be even better than that Harley you initially wanted. And having the time to spend puttering on that Harley, bringing it up to, road standards, making sure it's all shiny and everything's polished. You may have had to source parts for it. That would be an experience in itself. So if you bought the brand new Harley that was all shiny and you didn't have to do any work on it, sure, you would enjoy riding it. But maybe you appreciate the older Harley that you had to fix up more because of the fact that you spent so much time and love putting it back together. So think about those things, Maybe you bought a house. Maybe you were lucky enough to be able to afford one, but it might be in such a bad state that you're going to be restoring it forever. That may not be a bad thing. You could buy a cookie cutter brand new house for, I think at the low end now, most places they're going for $500,000 for a tiny place. That's a lot of money to sink into a house. And even brand new, they can have problems. You could get a lemon. You can, maybe all of your appliances are broken. Somebody may have bought an appliance set that it was terrible. Or, maybe something happened with you're in an area that freezes and your plumbing froze and, your whole place is flooded right after you move in. So many things can happen that would tarnish the dream. That, you went out and you bought your brand new house and it's all beautiful, and, a week later, you might have to make major repairs on it. You don't know. Buying that older house that's a piece of garbage and fixing it and making it comfortable and lived in can be a part of that process, even though maybe it's not your dream home. So my thought for today is just to encourage you to think about your dreams, to take a step back. Consider that maybe you have achieved some of them, or at least portions of them. Think about other factors outside of your control, like going back to Lucy. I didn't realize as a kid that, scripted, she's already well known, so obviously anything I try is not going to match the outcome of what she tries, because my life is not scripted and I'm not well known. And, From Tundra to Tiara, trying to make it a bestseller for the holidays, I think I kind of dropped that thought process, but I didn't think about the fact that Uncle Billy in Love Actually was known at one point. He was a has-been when he puts out this crummy Christmas song that he's hoping will be the #1 for the holidays because he's the underdog. But he's the underdog who was known. So the media had an interest in him. Whereas as an unknown author, among so many other unknown authors, I don't have really an exciting hook that would grab the attention of people. I'm just an average, normal person living out my dream to the best of my ability. And, the same things happen to me that happen to you. I have bad days where I wake at 3:45 a.m. I'm still recovering from that. But I have bad days, During my videos, I start coughing because I have postnasal drip. I'm not going to edit that out because it's too much time and I need to get other things done. My stuff is not going to be as polished as people who are full-time content creators because that's not really my focus. This is something I'm doing for fun to help me achieve my goal of being a hopefully better known author. But it's all part of a full package of me continuing to work toward my dreams, even though I am living some of my dreams. I don't know if I'll ever achieve that ultimate goal of being a successful, well-known author that, can write my own ticket. If that's the case, that's fine, because at least I've tried and I'm putting my heart and soul into this. And I hope that when you think about your dreams, if you've partially fulfilled one of them and you still have places to go to reach your ultimate goal, don't be discouraged. Continue to put your heart and soul into it. If you bought that old Harley, continue fixing it up. Every time you may replace 2 or 3 parts and have another one go out. It happens. If you did buy that brand new house and it totally just was ruined right away, hopefully that can be remedied pretty easily and you can continue to live that dream. But on the other hand, if you couldn't afford your dream house, you bought the, what you consider to be the second best thing, it may actually end up being better than what you imagined in the first place. So dream those dreams, keep dreaming those dreams, never give up on your dreams, but always take a step back to think about what you've been doing, think about what you've accomplished, because I'm sure you accomplish things without really realizing what you're accomplishing because you've moved on to the next thing. And we need to take a step back every once in a while to give ourselves a pat on the back. It's the fact that you've gotten to this point in your life. Whatever is happening, you may have all kinds of problems happening around you, but you're surviving and you're doing your best. And maybe you're not on the path to fulfill your ultimate dream, but maybe you're on a path that will take you to a dream that's very similar, that's better for you, something that will make you happier in the long run. So don't give up, keep pressing ahead. And I know, again, I've probably been talking around this all over the place, but I really feel passionate about trying to achieve dreams, obviously, because I continue to do this. The fact that I've been doing these videos now for 7 weeks, I think I'm up to like 51 days or something like that. That's amazing. I'm giving myself a pat on the back for that, because in the first week or two, it was easy. I was like, I can do this. But, getting up at 3:45 a.m., I decided to go ahead and record a video like 5:30 in the morning, because why not? And no, it's not as good as I would hope it would be, but I knew going into this that if I was going to post daily videos, they were not going to be perfect. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. So I'm just doing the best I can each day and putting it out there. That's what I'm going to continue doing with my videos. That's what I'll continue to do with my writing. Yes, I'm at a place where I'm doing my beta revisions and I think my book is the worst thing ever. But then I read other books and I'm like, well, I don't know that my book is really that bad. I just, there are so many factors at play in finding a reading audience, factors that I probably haven't even considered at this point. JT and I had our weekly meeting this morning and we talked about the fact that we're not putting a lot of money into marketing our books, but we have tried a little bit here and there. We don't want to go, overboard spending more money than we have already, because we're putting consistent money into our editing, into our book covers, to make sure that they're the best we can afford at the time, and trying to put out the best product we can at the time. And hopefully each successive book gets better and better. But in the meantime, we're hoping that people will take a chance on the books we've already put out there, knowing and understanding that we are doing the best we can. We do have a limited budget, and no, we don't have the most popular covers in the world right now. We're leaning toward covers that appeal to us than covers that appeal to the mass market. That may be some of our problems, but you know, we don't care. At this point, maybe it would be easier to find us if we had covers that were very similar to all the other covers out there right now. But when I go into a bookstore and I see a row of books and they all have very similar covers, I'm not particularly drawn to any of them. So the fact that ours are a little different might be a good thing in the long run. Who knows? Chasing trends is difficult. Don't chase trends, chase your dreams. If you're thinking outside the box and not matching what society is expecting of you at the moment, that's fine, because your dream is your dream, and how you get there is up to you. I don't know if any of this has made sense. If you have watched this video, I really appreciate it. I hope that it resonated with you. I hope that I've provided you some encouragement. Just maybe some food for thought at least, because over time, even at my age, 62, I'm still learning new things all the time about myself and about the world around me. And that's an important part of getting older, is continuing to be open to new experiences and new ideas, and to continue to keep our dreams alive. I think no matter where you are in your life, no matter how old you are, one of the most important things is to keep your dreams alive. And just, like I said, take that step back. Look at what you've accomplished. How does that fit in? Maybe subconsciously you made a decision that took you away from your initial idea of what your dream might be, but you may have taken a path that will be better for you in the long run. So JT and I are going to continue doing what we're doing. We do have some interesting plans for this year, and we will be talking about them more as they're firmed up. They could be a lot of fun, and I will document all that on here. So if you are not yet following along, I hope you will do so. I hope that over time, maybe to build a community, like I've been saying, to, if nothing else, to just continue documenting my overnight success, because I don't think we see enough of the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into achieving whatever level of success you hope to achieve. We like to see the quick payout, the people who became viral overnight. And for the majority of the population, that doesn't happen. So I'm sitting here, I'm probably very much like you sitting out there. You probably don't have the strange desire to put yourself up on YouTube every day, but if you do, I hope you are. You may not want to be a writer, but if you're a reader who's following along with this, I hope the discussion has at least helped you think about some things in your own life that, you know, maybe were bothering you, and hopefully by re-examining the way your life is going, that may help you in the long run come to terms with the fact that things are not as bad as you might think they are, or things are better than you think they are. Glass half full. Oh, so my question for the day: what are your dreams? Do you have wild dreams of becoming rich and famous and successful, or do you have simpler dreams, like you want to finish that crochet project you started? Sometimes the simplest dreams are the best, and those are the much easier ones to accomplish, because maybe you wouldn't have so many external forces working to make it a difficult process. So what are your dreams? Have you achieved them? If you take that step back and think about it, have you achieved parts of your dream? I would really be interested to know that if you're having a day where you're feeling discouraged and you think really about what's happening, maybe you have achieved more than you expected. And I'd really love to hear those stories. So Please feel free to leave comments below. I'm still at the point where I really have very few followers and I'm able to respond to comments. I do not respond to the scammy ones. I'm sorry. I get so many emails and things, which we all do, and it's frustrating. But if you leave a genuine comment, I will do my best to respond to you. There may be days where I don't feel capable of responding right away, but I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as I can. And I do hope you will follow along on this journey, because if nothing else, I hope to provide the encouragement that no, I'm not Lucille Ball. I'm not Sandra Bullock. I'm not Kathleen Turner. I'm not Stephen King. You know, I'm just another normal person living in a normal house on a normal street in a pretty, somewhat normal town. I'm more like you than you might think. So take this as encouragement that maybe you can do some of the things that you didn't expect you could. That's my little ramble through my thought processes for the day. I hope that it made some sense and that maybe I provided you, like I said, a little encouragement, if not education and entertainment. And I'll be back with you again tomorrow. In the meantime, I'm Cassidy Carson, and this is The Life of a Writer. Take care.